So the Harvey Awards were held over the weekend at Baltimore Comic-Con, where industry professionals will honor their peers for the best work of the year. If you're wondering, yes, Saga won a whole bunch of awards, including Best Ongoing, but I actually want to talk about the special award given for humor in a comic book this time. The award was given to Chip Zdarsky, the artist on the phenomenal Image series Sex Criminals. It's an award he very much deserves, but he's only one half of the brain behind Sex Criminals. The other half is writer Matt Fraction. In fact, on his Tumblr blog, Zdarsky flat out refused to accept the award, saying that not nominating Fraction with him was just wrong on every level, and that the writer provides about 90% of the jokes in the book. And this got me thinking, when it comes to a collaborative process like comics, whose voice is really heard, the writers or the artists? Now, this video isn't meant to rally against writers or artists to say that one deserves more credit than the other. I'm more so trying to figure out when it's obvious that one particular voice is heard over the other. For example, you have books like Wanted and Kick-Ass, both written by Mark Millar, but drawn by different artists, J.G. Jones and John Romita Jr. respectively. And yet, despite the unique art styles, it's very clear that Millar's voice is the one being heard, and that the artists don't really supply anything to the overall narrative besides a different aesthetic. Of course, it's also true that artists can overshadow the writers of a particular comic. Look at artists like Rob Liefeld or Todd McFarlane. Even when they're not specifically writing the book, their art alone is enough to overshadow what the writer is trying to say. Hell, that's part of the reason why they left Marvel to form Image in the early 90s. The idea that people were coming to see what they had to say, not the writers. So you can clearly see examples of comics, which is a collaborative process. It's a whole bunch of credits there, where one voice can overshadow all the others. But how can you tell when two people are working in sync on a title? Well, in the case of Sex Criminals, all you really have to do is look at the team's other work to see where the influences are coming from. You can see elements of Sex Criminals in Matt Fraction's Hawkeye and Chip Zdarsky's Howard the Duck, two different forms of irreverent humor that come together really well in Sex Criminals. And then you have writers and artists who completely change their style to match the artist they're working with. For example, Scott Snyder's current work with Greg Capullo on Batman is a very different beast from when he did Black Mirror on Detective Comics with Jacques and Francesco Francavilla. Snyder's work on Detective is actually closer to his current collaboration with Jacques, the Image series Witches. When Scott Snyder works with Jacques, things get very horror movie-esque and they get really dark and sometimes pretty macabre, while his work with Greg Capullo, while still dark, is often very big and very explosive. You can still hear Scott Snyder's voice, but now you have Greg Capullo screaming at you at the same time. Now sometimes this works, like with Sex Criminals or the current Batman run, but sometimes not so much. Do you remember that Batgirl cover that Raphael Albuquerque did that got pulled? Imagine if he did an entire issue in that style with the current writing team of Cameron Stewart and Brendan Fletcher. They write a very fun and carefree Batgirl, and to have a very dark art style like that tell the story just wouldn't work at all. The point I'm trying to make is that yes, sometimes it's possible for a writer or artist to overshadow their partner, but sometimes they do work in harmony together, and it should be obvious when they do. And honestly, Chip Zdarsky rejecting his Harvey Award for not recognizing Matt Fraction was the right thing to do. It takes two people to make a book as unique as Sex Criminals, and they just happen to be the only two people who could do it. What do you guys think? What are some other examples of writers and artists who are in perfect harmony together? Or some examples of a writer or artist overshadowing the other? Let me know down below or anywhere on the internet. Our regular schedule: Monday Bob talks about games, Wednesday I talk about comics, Friday we talk about whatever the hell we want. Tuesdays and Thursdays have been streaming time on YouTube Gaming, 9 p.m. Eastern. Not this week on Tuesday, Bob's away, but we will make up for it and we will have regular streaming on Thursday. Till then, as always, like if you like, subscribe if you really like, share this video with a friend. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you next time. It means that yes, Bill Finger, who history has pretty much proven created Batman's look, allies, enemies, and so much more, will officially be acknowledged by DC and Warner Brothers as an official co-creator of Batman alongside Bob Kane, the man who has had the official credit for over 75 years now.
I support you if you want to get a collector's edition. A lot of good collector's editions are great.
If you want to get a collector's edition, go for it. It's just
sometimes you got to do your research because sometimes they're really cheaply made.